Hello wine people, welcome to video number 2 where I'm going to be answering and explaining 30 multiple choice questions for food and wine pairing for WSET Level 3 in wines. This video is part of our Thirsty and Wise study and support program for Level 3 in wines. All the details about the program and our contact details are below. If you need help and assistance with preparing for your Level 3 in wines, please let us know. I would love to help. This wine with food, part of the level 3, is part of the learning outcome number 5, where you're going to be advising your guests, your customers on food and wine pairing and proper storage and service of wine. And there's 4 available points for multiple choice questions. Question number 1? What is the main purpose of food and wine pairing? To promote sales of expensive wines, to maximize the pleasure of consuming food and wine together, to reduce the calorie content of meals, to make all wines taste sweeter. The correct answer is B. To maximize the pleasure of consuming food and wine together, to make a combination that just drinking wine or eating food on its own cannot make. Which taste components of food tend to make wine taste harder? Salt and acid, sweetness and umami, bitterness and acidity, fat and spice. The correct answer is sweetness and umami are the challenging flavors in food that make wine taste more acidic, bitter, and less flavorful. The correct answer is B, sweetness and umami. What effect does sweetness in food have on wine? Increases the perception of acidity and bitterness, decreases the perception of alcohol, enhances wine's fruitiness, reduces wine's astringency. The correct answer is A. Sweetness in wine increases the perception of acidity and bitterness in the wine. How can the negative effect of umami in food on wine be balanced? By adding sweetness to the dish, by adding salt or acid to the dish, by pairing dish with a high tannin red wine, by reducing umami content through cooking. The correct answer is B. If you have umami flavors in the food, like from spinach, like from raw eggs, you can add salt or acid in order to balance, to cover that umami. It's definitely not B, because it's definitely not C, because C with high tannin would enhance the bitterness in the red wine. What impact does salt in food have on wine? Increases the perception of acidity, softens the bitterness and astringency in the wine, increases the perception of tannins, reduces the body of the wine. The correct answer is B, softens bitterness and astringency in the wine. Salt is amazing for enhancing flavor of food and wine, and it's also softening the bitter components. Okay. What type of wine generally pairs poorly with bitter foods? Low tannin red wine, high acid white wines, high tannin red wines, sweet wines. The correct answer is C. High tannin red wines do not go well with the bitter components in the food, because bitterness and bitterness enhances each other. It adds up. How does chili heat in food affect wine? Enhances wine's sweetness, reduces wine's acidity, it increases the perception of alcohol and bitterness, softens the tannins. The correct answer is C. Eating chili food, spicy food, increases the perception of alcohol and bitterness in the wine. What is the general rule when pairing food and wine with contrasting flavor intensities? Match bold foods with light wines, pair light foods with bold wines, ensure one does not overpower the other, always prioritize the wine's intensity. The correct answer is C. Ensure that one does not overpower the other. You want to enjoy the flavor of the food and the wine, and you need to be careful when one not to overpower the other. Which type of wine works well with fatty or oily foods? Low acid wines, high acid wines, tannic red wines, sparkling wines only. The correct answer is B, high acid wines. High acid wines, high acidity goes very well with high fat, it cuts through the fat, cleanses your palate. What makes the pairing of sweet wine with blue cheese successful? The acidity of the wine balances the saltiness of the cheese. The sweetness of the wine contrasts with the saltiness of the cheese. The bitterness of the cheese enhances the fruitiness of the wine. The umami in the cheese intensifies the sweetness of the wine. Wow, these are amazing combinations. The correct answer is B. The sweetness of the wine, of the port wine or sweet wine, contrasts with the saltiness of the cheese. So salt and sweet goes very well together. Try it. What is high risk food component for wine pairing? So when they say don't get scared, high risk. So high risk food means that they're more challenging to pair with, so you need to pay extra attention when you have this kind of foods. So acidity, salt, sugar, and fat. So we talked about this. The correct answer is C. Sugar is a challenging flavor to pair with wine. Usually, a great recommendation is if you're eating something sweet, drink something even more sweeter, because the sweet food will make the wine taste less sweet. How does acidity in food affect wine? Decreases the perception of the fruitiness, decreases the perception of acidity, enhances the bitterness in the wine, reduces wine's alcohol content. The correct answer is B. Decreases the perception of acidity. So it's not like bitter and bitter adds up. This is acidity and acidity. It neutralizes each other. It softens it down, the impact. What should be considered when pairing wine with high acid foods? Pair with low acid wines to avoid harsh taste. Pair with high acid wines to maintain balance. Avoid sweet wines at all costs. Choose wines with low tannin levels. The correct answer is B. Pair with high acid wines to maintain balance. So just as we said earlier, acidity and acidity lowers each other out. How does fat in food interact with wine? Enhances tannin perception, reduces wine's acidity, increases wine's sweetness, intensifies wine's sweetness. The correct answer is B. Reduces wine sweetness, because you need to cut through the fat, and while doing this the acidity is reduced, so it's mellowed down. What type of wine is considered low risk for food pairing? Complex oaked red wines, simple unoaked wines with residual sugar, full body white wines, high alcohol fortified wines. The correct answer is B. Simple unoaked wines with residual sugar. These are considered low risk wines, because they don't have this extreme elements in the wine like tannin, like acidity, like alcohol. But on the other side, they're low risk, but they're also considered boring, because you cannot get exciting combination of food and wine pairing. Usually the more challenging the way the wine and the food are, you need to pay more attention how you're going to combine them. But these combinations can be like from heaven. What happens when high tannin wines are paired with salty food? Tannins become more astringent, the wine appears softer and less bitter, the salt enhances the tannin dryness, the wine's alcohol becomes more pronounced. The correct answer is B. The wine appears softer and less bitter. So salt in food is amazing because it enhances the flavor of the wine, but it also softens the tannin, the bitter element in the wine. What is a classic food in wine pairing involve local traditions? Sancerre and goat cheese, Cabernet and oysters, Champagne and red meat, Rioja and curry. The correct answer is A. Sancerre and goat cheese really go well together. High acid wine with high acid cheese. Which factor most influences the perception of bitterness in wine? Alcohol content, acid levels, food sweetness, tannin. The correct answer is D. Tannin. What should you consider when pairing wine with chili heat, so with spicy food? Choose a wine with a wine high in alcohol. Select a sweet or fruity wine. Use tannic red wine. Avoid low acid wines. Okay, the correct answer is B. Select a sweet or a fruity wine. Definitely something that is low in alcohol, so you can balance out the spiciness. How do high acid foods make low acid wine taste? Flat and flabby, sharper and more focused, sweeter and richer, bitter and harsh. The correct answer is A. Flat and flabby. So if you have a high acid food, make sure that your wine is high in acid. So if the wine is lower in acid, it can taste flat and flabby. What is a common pairing principle for high sugar foods? Pair with wines lower in sugar than the dish. Pair with wines sweeter than the food. Always use tannic red wines. Avoid all sparkling wines. The correct answer is B. Pair with wines sweeter than the food, like we mentioned. What type of wine pairs well with oily fish to avoid metallic taste? High tannin red wine, unoaked white wine, full body red wine, oaked white wine. The correct answer is B. Unoaked white wine. Fish oil doesn't really go with the bitter elements in the wine, so you should be avoiding something that has a bitter element like tannin or oak. Why do oysters pair well with muscadet or champagne? Both are oaked and full body, both are light, high acid and unoaked, both are sweet and contrast the brightness, both have high tannins to counter the umami. The correct answer is B. Both are light, high acid, and usually unoaked. What is an example of classic pairing? Stilton and port, sushi and tannic red wine, chocolate cake and dry white wine, Korean high alcohol wine. The correct answer is A. Stilton blue cheese with port wine. Stilton is salty and high, very pronounced in flavor, and port is sweet and really rich and powerful. What can happen if the flavor intensity of the wine overpowers the food? The wine will taste sweeter, the dish flavors will seem bland, wine's tannin will soften, wine's acidity will increase. The correct answer is B. The dish flavors will seem bland, you're not going to feel the food, and probably the wine will not taste as the way it should. How does sweetness in food affect the perception of wine's acidity? Sweetness in food? Okay. Enhances acidity, masks acidity, balances acidity, reduces acidity. The correct answer is A, but I would change the word enhance. I would say increase in a bad way. So if you're eating something sweet, that will definitely increase the acidity in the wine. And if the wine is already high in acid, that will taste super acidic. Why is acidic wines pair well with tomato-based dishes? To enhance the sweetness of tomatoes, they match the dish's high acidity, they neutralize umami flavors, they contrast dishes' richness. The correct answer is B. They match dishes' high acidity. So tomato is high in acidity, it goes really well with wines that are high in acidity, like for example in Italy, a lot of tomato, and really goes well with high acidic Sangiovese. What type of wine is ideal for creamy buttery dishes? Tannic red wine, high acid white wine, sweet dessert wine, low acid rosé. I would say B. High acid white wine goes really well with creamy buttery dishes. Tannins can go also well with creamy dishes, but then I would look for a little bit more richer sauce, not just butter. What food element intensifies the fruitiness of the wine? Salt, umami, bitterness, spice. The correct answer is A. Salt. Salt enhances the fruitiness of the wine. If you ever heard, for example, putting salt in hot chocolate to enhance the flavor of chocolate. Last question. What is the best approach for pairing wine with heavily spiced dish? Use a highly tannic wine. Pair with slightly sweet, low alcohol wine. Choose a wine with low acidity. Match with oaked Chardonnay. The correct answer is B. We talked about this. Pair with slightly sweet, low alcohol wine. Wine people, thanks so much for watching this video. Let me know how many questions you got right. Let me know which questions you have. The details of our Thirsty and Wise study and support program and our contact details are below. I would love to help. I'll see you in the next video. We'll be talking about proper wine storage and service. Until then, stay thirsty and wise.